My name is David Prince, P-R-I-N-C-E. I was born in Poland, a country at the time of 33 million people, slightly east of the center of Europe, of which 10% were Jews. And Jews are just simple people born to Jewish parents. The city of my birth is called Lodz, L-O-D-Z. We were born, I said we. We, I mean, I'm one of a pair, I'm a twin. I've got a brother called Henry, who lives here in Melbourne too. We were born in April, during the Jewish festive season of Passover. That makes me just before the war. I was 14 years old. What was I doing? Exactly what all the other kids around the world, in our Western world at least, are doing at that age. Hanging around other kids around the block, school holidays, vacations, festive seasons, family celebrations, skating in winter, soccer in summer. I was running 400 and 800 meters, nothing to boast about it, chatting up girls. Well, that was my life revolving around the school and school activities. Of course, my childhood and my very early youth came to an abrupt end on the 1st of September 1939, when the German, Hitler's armies overran Poland. The mighty city of Lodz was not even defended. The army was instructed to go and defend Warsaw. The Germans walked in on the 8th day. We went to the mine thoroughfare, Piotrkowska Street, to look at them. Neat, orderly trucks, and half trucks. Within 2 weeks, no more than 3, some draconian anti-Jewish law came into being. We were not allowed to walk on the footpath. We had to wear first an armband and then a yellow star to a certain size with the imprint Jude, J-U-D-E, which means Jew in German, on the front and the back of the outer garment. Whichever way you twisted, you couldn't get away to be easily identified. It didn't make any sense. We had even to deliver not only valuable things, including radios and including photo cameras and everything under penalty of death, if found. Well, you just you just do what you're told. There was nothing, stick-ups, hold-ups, and everything. You couldn't complain to anybody. You couldn't do anything about it. They grabbed you in the streets, for work, for somewhere. You didn't know where you go when you come back and what happened to you. The city of Lodz and its surrounding area was incorporated into the German Reich. This was not anymore German-occupied Poland like Krakow or Warsaw. This was Germany. The name of the city was renamed Litzmannstadt, named after a general who lost his life in the First World War somewhere in the vicinity. All the street names were changed. There was no Polish administration whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. This was Germany from now on. Winter was hard, there were queues, there were shortages. And a lot of people, and about December, we even were informed that the ghetto is being formed. And the ghetto is a part of town where only Jews are allowed to live. Of course, it was the poorest part of town, the oldest part of town, the shabbiest part of town, the unsuited part of town. Lodz has that dubious distinction, if I might call it that, of being the first closed ghetto in Europe. And by fate or destiny, the last one to be dissolved in Europe too. And I was there from the start till the last train left Lodz. 1st of May 1940, the ghetto was closed. A non-Jewish person couldn't enter and a Jewish person couldn't go out, with the exception of the German ghetto administration. The worst thing was hunger, starvation. I don't wish on anyone to be hungry all the time, from morning till night, from week in and month in and year in and out. Somehow, human nature being what it is, some people are more resilient to life adversities than others. Some people just were not fat, they just sat down, got skinny within a few weeks and just, you know, just lost breath and died. The big crunch came in September 1942, Sperre. Police hour, curfew. Stop, don't move. The ghetto came to a standstill. Big hefty truck, big trucks came with big hefty Germans, and boots, dusty and goggles. We had to come down, dressed, it stand to attention. I stood about 50 meters away from a truck like that. We didn't quite know, but we had that gut feeling. It's no good to be on that truck. But it was not up to you. How many trucks there were and how many trips they made, we don't know. What we do know is we lost 16,000 people, as we know it now, from historical book of history, in 7 days. I had a nana, I had younger cousins. Mum was one of 8, and 7 were in the ghetto still. I had cousins 10 years old, 9 years old, Auntie Esther. I have never seen them again. We came at night. It was quiet and dark. Sealed cattle train on the outside, from the outside, a little window open. On one side of the wagon, a bucket in the corner, and us, Jews, from Lodz ghetto. My mother, my father, Henry and I among them. As it got a little bit lighter, we heard a commotion outside, and suddenly the door opened. Sheer hell broke loose. Shoutings, screamings, German people calling each other. There were not that many kids there by then. You could smell death without knowing exactly what's going on. You just didn't know, you just said it. The first thing they have done is they separated men and women, 5 abreast. And there were a few German uniformed officers or not, I don't know. And eventually one of them, with a pointing finger or palm, I don't know, was it like that or was it like that, pointed one way or another. One way meant death in gas chambers within the hour, or maybe another half an hour if they had to clean up the previous mess. The other one, temporary respite. Who were taken to bath. It's an anteroom, a big one, undressed, put everything nice and neat, like hell. That clothing you brought you'll never see ever again. If you had something valuable or you had some photos in it, you will never see it again. But we walked into one door and walked out to another door. We were shaven everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Head, underarm, and wherever else people grow hair. Some antiseptic, stinky and stingy pooed over you. And we were let out to another door. Given those striped uniforms and clogs, you had to swap if you could, big or small. We were headed in or marched in what we call now compound. At the time we didn't know what it is. All we knew it's barbed wire. Even the gate behind you where you walked in was barbed, with watchtowers, some on the sides. On the other side, you couldn't see the end of it. As we know it now, there were the crematorias and the gas chambers there, but we couldn't see that. We were barbed wire on each side. Out of that field of 25,000, or thereabout, 300 people, 300, were picked out as metal workers. Only then were we asked the name and the date of birth. God is my witness that we don't know why until today. One of us said that we were born in April of one year, the other one said July of the other year. Only after the war did we in the world find out that Dr. Joseph Mengele, chief doctor and selector of Auschwitz-Birkenau, was on the lookout for twins for his medical experiments. We left in a cattle train, once again, to a beautiful part of Germany, a new camp. Nobody was there before us. A main road into a little township called Friedland. It's a beautiful name. In German it means land of peace. In Lower Silesia, which is the east part of Germany. It was a new camp with a few blocks and about 300 degrees or 280 degrees of mountainous pine trees around us. We were taken to work producing airplane propellers. We were walking or trotting, to work 4 kilometers approximately each way through the township. 12 hours shifts, day and night shift, alternately every week. This was not a death camp, it was a working camp. We were hungry, but there were no ovens or gas chambers. I was still in the camp. The last 2 days, our guards, the SS, got lost, got away. The local people came in, apologizing for not being able to be of any help before that. Bringing some milk, bringing some eggs to the sick room. And they cut, since of course the Germans were on the run, going towards the west, the military and not military running away from the Russians. They cut the wires, the electric wires of the camp and let us out into the forests where we stayed a night or nearly 2 nights. And the next day, one of our scouts came down and he came back to us. He said, "Fellas, we survived the war. The Russians are here." And that was the last day of the war for me. Frankly, I'm more obsessed with it now than I ever was before. We didn't speak about it even. We just got on with life. We didn't sit down. We caught up a little bit on education. Obviously, I didn't have any. And I happened to be just fate or my thoughts came to me that I needed a profession of some sort. And I caught up a little bit on education in Germany and just went on with it. We didn't speak much at all. Our children, even here, which are born here, they knew, of course, that we spoke, another language and that we are survivors. Our children's mother has a number on her arm, but it wasn't said. I mean, they weren't interested, and neither were we. It's only now, in the last few years, that the whole world, starts to recall it and just grab whatever they can of the people who are left still. Only intolerance has led to this tragedy. In the question time, or during the question time, if there is no question, I butt in by saying, all you suppose is don't take for granted the sustenance of our beautiful country's democracy. Stand up and be counted. Germany was a country of great culture, maybe the greatest at the time. Culture, in letters, in science, and poetry, and music, and look what happened. Look what happened. Just stand up and be counted. Just don't let it happen. It's not your business if somebody goes to a mosque. Let me go to my synagogue. You go to your respective Christian churches. Let her go to the mosque and let her go to the Buddhist or Hindu temple. You don't like it, don't go there. You don't like the person, of course you can't love everybody or like even everybody. But you must tolerate it. We live in a multicultural society, and I hope I do some good, that something stays. And I always make a comment, if I can, to the teachers in particular, by saying, oh, well, I hope something will stay there, just preaching, just to tolerate other people, not to love, but tolerate.